You are listening to the Race to Racer podcast presented by Race 92. Race 92 is a vintage-inspired racing apparel brand specializing in celebrating vintage race culture and adapting to motorsports today. Check out race92.com for all your racing merchandise needs, just like this great Allenser Jr. t-shirt. We have other Allenser Jr. merchandise, so please go to race92.com to get yours. So I'm your co-host, Aaron Mack, the other co-host. You may have seen walking out of Barber Lounge 459 with a big old smile on his face. He is Scott Bowie.
Hey, Aaron, what's going on?
Not much. It is going. So first off, thanks for everyone for watching and listening. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Also check out some of our other videos, including our Proverse shows video series at Fast Times Indoor Karting. Some of our other sponsors, Razor Collect. And we're in the middle of summer, and I'm very confident in my AC situation. Don't have any issues thanks to the good folks, the good guys. If you recall, if you listen to the show, I had a major issue. I don't even remember when it was. It was right before summer. It was like March or April. I think it was April, and I was testing out my AC, and I just knew I was going to have a problem because of a situation I had to get in because of my home warranty. With people who don't know what they're doing. So I called the good folks, the good guys. They came out, they identified the problem, they fixed the problem within a day. And I haven't had any issues since then. And I am confident in knowing that if I do ever have an issue, they will come out and they will fix the issue immediately. So I can definitely sleep with a lot less worries, knowing that I'm in good hands with the good folks, the good guys.
Yeah, that was a bad deal too, because you followed all the rules, you did everything as you were supposed to.
Yeah.
And you were getting terrible service. And it was more beneficial for you to go outside of the service track that you'd been using and go use the good guys, and they took care of your problem immediately. And and it's because they care about their work.
Yeah.
And they did a very professional job. And I get the same treatment here. I've had problems here at the house, and they're always, they always step up and help out. And just if you ever have any, AC or heating needs, call the good folks, the good guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely check them out. And we were not getting paid to say that. Like, I'm legit.
No,
like,
absolutely not.
I really mean it, because I know how hard it is to sometimes get people to do good work, especially with a crucial system like your AC unit in the middle of June or July or August. So hottest months of the year. So definitely check out good guys. But and also McGilvery. So this will be released on Wednesday. So at that point, if you went to the McGilvery show, thank you for coming. Show will be Kyle Kaiser and Lockie Hughes. Definitely looking forward to it, and we'll probably get that release in the next couple of weeks as well. Kyle's a great guy. We haven't had on the podcast yet, so we wanted to get him on. And since he's local, figured McGilvery's was a great way to do it. And also Lockie. Him and Lockie are pretty good friends. I think Kyle's kind of like a mentor for him. So we'll kind of learn more about kind of that relationship. And Lockie's a very, very talented driver. He's currently won 4 races in USF 2000, currently leading the championship with J. Howard Motorsports. So, yeah, definitely, the kid's going to definitely go a lot of places, I really feel like.
Yeah, I think so too. He's coming to J. Howard Motorsports and really helped turn that program around. And he's running up front every week. So he's a good dude. I met him once through that Fast Times, meeting with Fast Times, and good guy, has a strong desire to race, and it's really going to be interesting to see where his career goes to.
Absolutely. And speaking of young guys that have the will to race and really just a perseverance to not let anything stop them, our guest today, or for this week, is Enaam Ahmed. So Enaam is actually teammates with a good friend of the show, Mr. Jagger Jones, and that's kind of how we met him. But Enaam is a very talented driver, great guy, funny guy. Really enjoy talking to him. Obviously, we see him at the track a lot. But he was a FIA World Karting Champion. And some of the people he's beat in his career, it's
Pretty
pretty crazy,
impressive.
pretty impressive. Yes, pretty impressive. So yeah, he's definitely he's definitely going to go some places I know, and yeah, great driver, great guy.
Yeah, and everybody here when they listen to this here shortly that he loves his career choice. He loves racing.
In
He
America,
loves
in
and he loves
America,
America.
yeah,
And
loves America.
where so many people see quote unquote the flaws of America, he
Hmm.
just loves it and he loves everything about it because he's seen real hardship from his home country. And it's I wouldn't say eye opening, but it's
Yeah.
sobering to listen to him talk
Well,
about it.
the thing he said that really kind of stuck with me was saying that you never really see him upset or anything because
Right.
I mean, basically, he didn't say it. But basically, what I got was basically, his worst day here may be better than his best day from some of the situations he's been in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I was so happy to get to talk to him, and I literally could have talked to him for a couple more hours. And I didn't want to waste his time, even though he was willing to talk.
But hey,
Um,
he has invited us to Pakistani food, so you will be talking to him when you're eating
yeah, oh
Pakistani
yeah.
food.
I will have to take it very easy with the very spicy Pakistani food. That is not something my body's built for. But that being said, it's very kind. I'm definitely going to get him out to some dirt track races. Man, how about that? I mean, how amazing would he be to run
I said
midgets?
we need to get him in a dirt car.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that guy's got that guy's got the mental attitude for sure.
Yeah, no, he'd love it. He would love it. But racing news. I don't think we'll ramble on too long today. We'll kind of get straight into the interview. But I mean, first off, I think big thing is Connor Daly. Losing his ride at Carpenter Racing. Now he's going into the Nitro Rallycross. I mean, I think the series, nothing against Connor Daly, but I think, he'll be great for the series, and I think he'll be great for that kind of racing, to be honest. And he may be an Indy only deal, and I think, he can run good at the 500. Now with Dryer and Reinbold in Nitro Rally Cross, so I think we may know who one of the Dryer and Reinbold's drivers will be next year.
It's too. I hate to see Connor not
Yeah.
um, on doing the full IndyCar deal. We've only interviewed him once. I've met him a couple of times. I don't know him. Um, as this season has went on, I kept getting the more and more impression that maybe a full time IndyCar deal he wants it, but maybe not the same way he wants to do Indy.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And that may be very unfair of me to say. So I apologize, but that's just how it seems. And so I wish him all the best, and I'm sure he will run the 500 in the future.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
don't know if we'll ever see him in IndyCar again, though.
Full time. Right.
I don't see that in the cards. I could be wrong, but boy, there's a lot of young people coming along. He's 30 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, this sport doesn't wait around for anybody.
Yeah. And I think Pikes Peak is actually this weekend, I believe. Really cool thing. Ken Block's daughter Leah is kind of continuing on her dad's legacy. I know she's been running rallycross or the American Rally Association races this year. She's been super fast. I think she's got some podiums in her class. I think she's won her class. I think she was like top 5 overall and 1 or 2 rallies. And then she's doing the Pikes Peak Hill Climb in the car I believe he drove last year. So it's pretty cool to see her kind of carry his legacy. I know she actually was doing some like a F4 test actually like a couple weeks before her dad tragically passed away, and he was actually there at Homestead. They did a test at Homestead. So I wouldn't be surprised, maybe at some point it'd be cool to see her in the Road to Indy program.
Yeah, that would be cool. Auto racing's such a weird game. There's just a lot of roads to take, and trying to find that one that works for you. And I feel like if you are on the road to Indy, you've got to really make a certain type of commitment. Um, like that's where you're headed. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's kind of hard to start deviating from that and going off
Yeah.
and doing onesie twosie things here and there. So we'll see. Because I mean, it kind of like it just from the outside looking in, like the family was really more geared toward so many different types of
Yeah.
driving at the same time. So it'd be interesting to see if she can commit to doing that one type of racing. But you know, I'm for it for sure. So
Absolutely. Well, I think unless you have anything else, I think we'll just go ahead and jump into it.
I really don't have anything. I'm telling you, you're gonna really like this guy, and he's really refreshing. And I just want to say thank you to everybody out there for listening, and take care.
Yep. Everyone have a great week. Our guest today is a FIA World Karting Champion, 2017 British Formula 3 champion, and currently racing in the Indy NXT Series for Cape Motorsports. We're joined by Enaam Ahmed. Enaam, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, me and Scott are at the track a lot. One of our good friends of the show, Mr. Jagger Jones, is your teammate. So we get to spend a lot of time around you and see you race. So it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. No, and it's so nice to have you guys there, and also Jagger there. You know, for me this year, having such an experienced, well-known American driver like him, it's really useful for him. And even like, you know, Jagger will tell you like the stuff I learned from him, especially in a lot of these new tracks and the ovals and stuff. It's amazing. Like, and people in Europe take that for granted. Like, you know, I think because you American people, you don't tell people actually how much knowledge you guys have. And when I came here and I understood that, I was very impressed. You know, really, it's impressive. Very impressive, actually. Very impressive.
So there's a couple things we got to get out of the way right off the bat. A, as bad as I hate to say it, because I've had great hair all my life. You probably have the best hair of any guest we've had. Now, and we had Christian Fittipaldi, who I would tell you has some pretty great hair, but you probably are the best.
Thank you.
And I got to tell you, being in, as Aaron mentioned, being around to the track, your love for just being, I don't know if it's racing or just being in front of people or whatever, it really shows through. It's really kind of refreshing. You don't really have a big ego, and you're so kind with the fans, and you always try to take time, and it's really great to kind of be around and see how you operate. And I think personally, I think it's great. I think it's a breath of fresh air,
Thank
to be
you.
honest with you.
No, thank you. I mean, the secret. Actually, me and you have a very similar hairstyle. We have like the thing at the back. And to be honest, like my hair's gonna be like yours when it gets more grey. You know, so we're not too different at all. It's just I eat a lot of curry because I'm Pakistani. You know, so that's about it, really. I mean, that's all I can say. But you know, the thing is, like, look, I'm nice. It's not that like I'm trying my hardest to be nice. I love it because, you know, America gave me opportunity that I never had. And it's like, I'm so happy to be here. It's just, I'm very positive about everything. Even like, like me and Jag have had very good times this year. Jag had an exceptionally good podium in Detroit. You know, he drove exceptionally well. And then we've also had our really hard moments as well. But even though still, it's not like we're forcing ourselves to remain positive. But, you know, look at my life, you know, I'm very lucky to be here. I'm very lucky to be racing, you know, and I came to America with a dream, you know. I've had to fight very hard to be here. Like where at the house I live now, you know, I had no money to have for a place to live. I remember there was points last year where I had no money even to barely live. Like it was that bad. And then my sponsor, I met him in a cafe. His name's Zach Khan, and he's a South Asian of descent, like myself. And actually, so he bought Zach Brown's house. I don't know, the one in Carmel. So that's where I live now. So that's where I'm at now.
Nice.
So, you know, he saved me. I mean, really, like he saved my career because, you know, after Pro 2000, I got some sponsors from Pakistan, and we kind of did an attack on that season. It was my first year back. I took basically 3 years out of racing. I was a go-kart mechanic back in UK again, and then I was a bit rusty coming back. You know, you forget, like when you know what it's like when you race your whole life, whether it's go-karts, anything, you're always racing, you're always around racing. When you come out of that, for more than a year or two, like your brain slows down a lot. And like when I came back, even into Indy Pro 2000 car, I was like, it took me a bit of time, like it took me like half a season to like get back onto it. And I was making mistakes that I don't normally make, like rookie mistakes, because my brain took time to come back into it. But, thanks to Zach Khan, Surgery Center Development Company, helped me get my ride in Cape, gave me a company car, accommodation, because there was a point last year I couldn't afford to keep my apartment in Fishers and stuff. He said, don't worry about it. I'll help you racing. Come live in my house, give you a car, you drive, just focus on your racing. And, he's believed in me a lot. And, God has these ways of, I really believe, winners never quit and quitters never win. We've all been through hard points in our life. I've been through many. Like there's so many times where I nearly quit and I stopped because there was just no means to carry on. But I just always had the belief that, I'm going to get there. I've fought this hard to be here over 10, 12 years. I can't just give it up now. You know what I mean? I've got to fight my way. And look, it's the same this year. I'm with Cape, underdog team, underdog driver, me, Jagger. We're working together to try and improve things, for us to, be able to win a race. Jagger's got a podium already. And that's the way it is. I don't believe in excuses or feeling sorry for yourself, anything like that. You got to make it work. And I enjoy trying to make it work. I enjoy the challenges because I know that when I get older and I have a family, God willing, and myself, these are going to be great stories to tell, And just like we just talked about the oval test, it's very scary when you don't have a balanced car. And it's going to be another thing to talk about with my kids, God willing. Like, oh, there was one time I drove Indy Lights at 170 miles an hour in an oval, and yeah, it felt like I was going to die, but it was right.
So how old were you when you first got into go-kart, and how did you get interested in racing? I mean, is it in your family at all, or just how'd you get interested?
No, not at all. I mean, so I'm South Asian, right? So I'm Pakistani descent. We're, most Pakistanis are doctors or lawyers, and none are really in sport. So my dad wasn't into racing at all, but we went to a go-kart track when Hamilton won the world championship in 2008. And then I just really liked it. And then I started winning at a local level in the UK. And then when I was 12 years old, I was British champion in go-karts. Then I went to race with Ricky Flynn in the European and World Championship in KF Junior at the time. So in my team was Lando. There's so many F1 drivers that are in F1 now. Like Verstappen was there, Leclerc. They're older than me, so they were in a division up. But like my generation that I raced was Schumacher, Lundgaard, this Sargent, Armstrong, who you name it, like a lot of these guys, right? And I managed to win, a European and World Championship. And then I went to car racing, and then F4, won British F3, went to the European F3. My teammate was Alex Palou, and won a few races in that. Went to Japan, stopped racing for a few years. Now I came back to US to start my career again and to get it going.
So, what's always so impressive to me is anytime we talk to guys who have a European background, it's all the traveling, all the different areas where they've raced. I mean, whether it's their own country or other countries, or, like you said, you went to Japan. Because in America, you just take America for granted. Like, oh, we've got this and we got that and we got this. And you don't think about having to, leave your home and go to other countries and all of that.
No, but I think, America's so much better because we just drive everywhere. We're road tripping all the time. That's literally American. I love it. I hate flying, like, you know what I mean? But like, I feel like in America, people look at Europe like as if like they're so superior, and Europeans look down on American racing as if it's not. Honestly, man, I have no interest in going back to Europe. Zero.
Really?
After coming to America, I like it here so much. And because I respect America a lot, because it's the only country I've been to where it doesn't matter what you look like, where you come from. If you're good at what you do, they support you. In Europe, it's not like that. Okay, I don't want to get into it, but like it's just not like that, And that's why I have so much love for American people, and that's probably why you say like I like being with the fans, because they don't give no country in the world would give a guy like me opportunity, a Pakistani guy like me, and that's why like I get emotional when I talk about America, because it's just the love I've had here, that the life-changing opportunities I've had here is like nowhere else on earth, and I think even American people, when they ask me about America, and sometimes they complain about this, that, or the other. They don't know how good their country is.
Right.
until like when I go back to Pakistan, then there's serious problems over there. Like, you know what I mean? And you take things like that for granted. Not you guys, but like some people take
Oh,
things like that
absolutely.
for granted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know, I talked to obviously I've been in auto racing for a long time, as we kind of discussed, and I've met a lot of people from other countries. And I was talking to a gentleman one time. He actually came to America and became a really big chassis manufacturer for open wheel race cars like sprint cars, midgets, that type of thing. And somebody said something to him once. He goes, "Americans just don't understand how great you have it." He goes, "People like me come here and all we see is opportunity." And he said, "The people who live here come here and just see how they just tell you how life isn't fair."
Yeah, yeah. First world problems, as I like to call
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Like when you go to Pakistan, like it's it's very that's why I don't get if you notice with me when things go wrong, I don't get bothered because
Right.
it puts into perspective. Now, when I go to Pakistan, people who all over the street don't have enough food, can't even get water. Their children are dying. When I was in
Mhm.
Pakistan last year, I went to a camp where the floods, and there was a person that she died in front of me of malaria. Like,
Oh my
and
God.
couldn't save her son. When you see these things like that in the world, you it makes our problems look good. So that's why, like, some drivers, like when they throw their toys out the pram and they start complaining, I say to them, I said, man, you don't know what the real world's like. Like, I don't get bothered by things. It's just another challenge. Because if I go there and I say, oh, I was having an imbalance in my car, oh, I got crashed into onto the weekend, they're gonna be like, man, I can't even feed my family. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. At the end of the day, I love racing. I love what we do. And all those experiences I had has made me, and I think that's what's got me so far in my career. And I'm able to dig deep when things are hard because it's not that I don't care, but I don't get down about things very easily. I've always been a fighter, because in these third world countries, you always have to fight just to survive, and that's how my parents were, my grandparents, they came from extreme poverty. So that is like instilled in me, you know what I mean? So that's why, I love these opportunities, you know?
I've always felt, um, and maybe I heard it somewhere when I was a kid or something, but I always feel like in America you have a puncher's chance. Like if you think of life as a fight, you in America, if you throw enough punches, maybe you get the knockout.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no, exactly. You just got to try. You got to keep
right?
trying. And the thing is, like, I've noticed with people, like, forget about racing for a second. Like, when things go wrong in their life, like, if it goes wrong once or twice, they like say, "Oh, maybe it's not for me." Like, things have gone wrong in my life hundreds of times, but like, I still have this belief that I'm gonna get there. Like, I don't know. People maybe call me stupid, but I just believe that I'm gonna get there, and I believe America is the place. And there's a lot of things I've seen in America that just blows my mind with the racing, how technologically more advanced they are than in Europe. Okay, IndyCar is a spec series, but like the way you guys go into friction and damping, and especially damping programs in Europe, I remember we never used to think twice about dampers. Never, never ever used to talk about adjusting dampers, right? Here, I was shocked how much of a difference it makes. And that's like, people take that for granted. And it's so funny when I see European guys now coming here, especially now IndyCars. I think it's the most competitive it's been in quite a while. Like such a
Long
in-depth
time.
field.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like there's some guys I went to Indy Pro, even Marcus in IndyCar, and he basically told me he was surprised. He was like, man, he's like, it's really hard. Like the racing's very aggressive. And I said, man, it's not easy. You can't just come here thinking you're going to win it. Like my parents have always been humble people. They're not arrogant people. So I never instilled that thinking I'm going to beat everyone I come across. That's why I did Indy Pro, learn the tracks, come to Indy Next. I didn't come here thinking I'm just going to beat all these Americans and I'm going to walk away with it. No, I respected the ladder system and I respected the path that I had to do to learn. To get up to speed. And it's so funny, like I don't want to go into names, but I see some guys come over from Europe to do Indy Pro thinking they can just come and walk it. They can't. Then they're struggling a lot. You know what I mean? So it's just funny to me.
So, talking about, winning the World Karting Champion, like when you think of World Karting Championship, I mean, that seems like a pretty big deal. We've talked to at least two people on the show that are and Jagger's one that's a national karting champion. But talk a little bit about, like, I mean, just the competitiveness level of a world karting championship, because if you look at like the champions, like you said, you beat Mick Schumacher that year that you won the championship.
Yeah.
But like if you look at other champions, I mean, there's F1 world champions. Like what is the competitiveness level like, and how do you think that really translates into, you know, F3, F2, or like Indy Lights?
I'd say karting is like nothing else. Like you can compare with cars. I mean, it's really competitive. It's really hard. And I remember I put more focus on winning the European Championship that year than the World Championship. It was very funny because the European Championship was like a 5 race, like over 5 different tracks. It was like a proper championship. So, but the World Championship, I won the European Championship, but the World Championship was a one-off event. Whoever crossed the line first was a world champion. So, I mean, the likelihood of that, I mean, it was not low, but it wasn't high. Like, it's just so many things could go wrong. So when I went into that weekend, it was the end of the year, and I was like, I already won the European Championship. I was like, you know, I'm not expecting to win it. I never expect to win, to be honest. I never go into something expecting to win it. I think that's a wrong psychology, you know, is always be open-minded. And I was just so relaxed the whole weekend. It was the smoothest weekend I had all year. I poled it. I won every heat, pre-final, final. And the worst thing was, in the final, it poured down with rain. It was me on pole, Schumacher second, Ticktum, Lundgaard, Sard. There was a lot of people on that grid, I remember. And I was a bit worried because, I mean, I've always been very good in the wet, and I won in the wet. But Daniel Ticktum, who's in Formula E now, he was on a Zanardi, which was really good in the rain. And I was like, and himself, he's extremely good in the rain, in karting and in cars. Every time it's raining, he's one of the best I've ever seen. So good kart and good drive in the rain. I was like, oh God. But, you know, I put him in a position where I put him under a lot of pressure, and I just didn't let him get past. And when he did try to get past, I kind of made him spin, and he spun out of the race. And then he went all the way back. So then I got him out of the way. Then I had to deal with Schumacher. And it's like all the 7 years of karting culminated in that one race. And it's the best I ever drove in the wet, where I don't know how to describe it, but it's like I was barely turning the steering wheel. It was just like the whole thing, the whole race was just a flow. And the gap I pulled, I think it was like 20 seconds in the rain or something stupid. I won it by an absolute mile. And that was the best I ever drove in the rain in a go-kart. And it's like, because there's this thing in a kart where if you come in with the back sliding in a perfect angle, you don't need to turn in the corner in the wet. And if you perfect that without being ragged, you're gonna like kill everyone. And it culminated in that race. You know, I could never do that. I could do it close, but I could never quite get it right. And it just came together in that race, and then I won.
We had Will Power on here once, and you know, obviously he's one of the greatest qualifiers ever.
Yeah.
In IndyCar, and one of the greatest drivers. And he was talking about flow state, like how he gets his mind to where, you know, whether you call it the zone, flow state, whatever term you want to use, like how it just, like, you're not even thinking about it. And was that kind of how that day was? Just kind of.
Exactly. It was exactly like that. That whole weekend I was completely focused, but not intentionally. It was just because I was very relaxed. Because I didn't expect to win it. Like, you know, even when I came to the final, I was like, okay, I'm on pole, but like, you know, till the job's done, it's not done. And I've always kind of been like that, because you can be too intense. Look, I don't have you know, people think, okay, you're relaxed, but don't think that off the track I'm relaxed. Every day I'm working towards a race, not just training. I'm in the workshop every day. I'm watching my videos from every session this year, every day, every data from every track we've done, constantly trying to understand how to go better, because I'm obsessed. But like, if you look at my eyes when I'm on the track, I'm very relaxed, because that's like a focus level. If you're too intense, and sometimes I've made these mistakes before, when you want something too much, it can be further pushed away from you. And that's what happened when after I won British F3, I went to European F3. I was teammates with Alex Palou. I was about 5-6 races in. I was leading the championship. I won the first 2 races, poled in the first 3 races, Pro Grand Prix, stuff like that. Had a championship lead. And I remember I just started wanting it too much. Our car was good, but it wasn't quite as good in the second half of the season as Prema or Motorpark. And then, you know, we're struggling a little bit more in the second half of the year. Me trying too hard and wanting it too much led to crashes and things like that. And that's how I threw the championship away. And I learned that then in 2018. You know, there's some things that are out of control, especially motorsport, because it's man and machine. It's not just man.
Mm,
You know, and
yeah.
there's no point. It's not that you don't try, but you drive within what you feel. Don't go above that, because then bad things happen, as I've noticed, especially in an oval. You know, you know.
How much? So, I mean, obviously, you know, you say you take couple years off, right, and then come over to America. How much of racing in America did you really know about? Like, did you ever watch any races from over there in America?
I watched the 500. I
Mhm.
always used to watch the 500, and I always had a dream of winning the 500. Not like so much racing in IndyCar, but I always wanted to win the 500. You know, I didn't know that much about IndyCar, to be honest, because at the time I was racing in Europe, and I thought my whole racing career was going to be in Europe. Even if I didn't go to Formula One, maybe Le Mans or WEC, or you know, mainly European based. And the funny thing was, I always used to think when I was a kid, oh, I really want to race the 500 and win that. If there's one race I wanted to win more than any race, it's the 500, just because it's so damn hard to win it. And it's like, if you win it, you're like, oh my God, like, how could I ever do that again? You know, it's better than a karting world championship. Karting world championship is like, this is like a karting world championship amplified to like a whole nother level, the Indy 500. You know what I mean? It's like one-off race. It's like anything can go wrong. And it's like, oh my God. And, you know, God has a way of working. And I'm so happy the way, you know, my career actually ended up. I'm happy that, you know, things went wrong in the ways that they did, so that I came to America, you know, and I've never been more happy in my life, you know, than I have now racing, because of the things, like I said, why I love America, why I love the tracks, because they're so different. You know, people take for granted all the tracks in Europe are now the same. They're all flat. They all got 90-degree corners. Here you have tracks like Mid Ohio, you have Road America, completely different tracks. Then you have speedways, long oval, short oval, street course. This you have to, as a driver, you have to have so many different disciplines, which people in Europe take for granted, and they're all different. Like I had to completely change my driving style coming from Europe to here. It didn't work, and that's why I think some Europeans don't do well here, because they come with an arrogant attitude and they try and drive it their way and think that the American way is not right, but actually it is right for a lot of these tracks, and you got to be able to adapt and not think that you're superior, which I didn't.
Right. No, absolutely. So your first time, so talking about different driving styles, I mean, your first time on an oval would have been, what was it, last year in the Indy Pro
Lucas,
Car?
yeah,
Yeah.
Lucas Oil.
I mean, how hard was that for you to adapt? And look, I mean, it's still, I mean, it's not the fastest oval. It's not Iowa, or Gateway. I mean, what was that like? And it's probably better. I mean, I don't know, but I'm guessing it would probably be better to start with a track like Lucas Oil than go into somewhere like Iowa. But
Uh,
like, what's that
yeah,
really like going from road courses your whole life and then going to an oval?
you know, people take it for granted how difficult overs are. Not just because of the technicality, but because of how on the limit and brave you have to be all the time. Like it's very intense because you're always like at a high speed, and you know what we're not used to coming from Europe. You know, every track has brakings where the car slows down, speeds up, slows down, speeds up, but you're never at a high speed all the time. And when you're at like top speed all the time and you're turning, it's like wah, 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 like you know, you never have time to like back off. You know, it's like, well, it's really intense, you know. And you know, in traffic and putting the car in the right place and not sliding it into the wall, or, you know, it's scary. Like when you first do it, it's scary, you know. But that fear never goes away. You just got to fight it, and that's what I found. You know, you just gotta, you know, it's scary, it never goes away, and you just always got to feel like you're a little bit out of control. Because I've noticed, like, even when you're in a good car, to win and to be good in traffic, you always got to risk it. You got to risk it. You can't be safe. You know, people think like, oh, the car's good. Yeah, the car has to be really good, but you got to risk it as well. Like to put the car, to carry the momentum on the high side, to cut underneath the guy in the dirty. Yeah, you got to risk it. And it's very, I had a lot more respect after I did it, and I really enjoy it. It's a whole nother discipline that, you know, American drivers have a lot more balls than European guys from that sense, because it's so damn hard. It's not easy, and they're all different. And you know, you have to lead your engineer in a right way, because you're responsible for your car setup as well. Because your car setup is what dictates how quick you're going to be as well. So it's not easy. It's not an easy nut to crack.
You know, from just kind of talking a little bit before we started, you have what sounds to me somewhat of a mechanical background on working on at least the go-karts. I
Yeah.
don't know about the other cars. Have you found that to be helpful
No, sometimes it can be a detriment because, like,
Yeah.
I don't engineer the car. Like, I really do stay away
Right.
from it. So I have, like, sometimes I've made mistakes where I've gotten into that too much, and it takes your attention away from the driving. I just say what the car's feeling, and I'm the patient. The car's the patient. They're the doctor. I just give the symptoms. You know what I mean? So, but there are some things where I can see, like, if I think there's things that can be improved, like, with the brakes, or like I can just see some things. But other than that, I don't get involved because also I can't compute a lot of the things that are done here with how complicated America is in the racing. The cars have to be so in Europe, because the tracks are very similar. You have basically the same baseline everywhere you go. You just adapt it slightly. America, every track you're running is totally different setup, like totally different. So that's why I just don't get involved. Because, like, you go to Mid Ohio, you run one way, then you go here, the car's completely different. Then you go here, I just don't even bother keeping. I say, yeah, do your thing. You know what I mean?
Do you have a type of track you prefer over the others? I mean, say like a natural terrain, like a Mid Ohio or Road America, or do you like the street courses? Or
I like all of them. They all have their own challenge, and if there's actually probably there's one track I don't like, it's probably Iowa. It's like because okay, I tell you why. Like, it's bumpy, and it's just nothing around it. Like, I mean, there was nowhere nice to eat. It was just, I didn't like the area that it was. You know what I mean? And the track wasn't that great in my opinion. But, like, it's just. And we didn't have a good test set, so that's probably why. You know what I mean? I was just biased against it. But no, all the most of the ovals I like them, especially when you have a good car, because I like to race. I like racing, and I like racing hard, and I like ovals because of the slipstreaming. And I wish we raced on the Indy 500 track.
Yeah, it's a shame. I understand why they don't. I mean, some of those crashes they had were pretty spectacular, but I wish they still ran the Freedom 100.
Yeah, I wish they did too. But yeah, it is what it is.
So talk a little bit about this year. Obviously, really had ups and downs, but you guys have showed speed at a couple races. And best finish was Detroit. Was that your best finish, Detroit?
The Barber was. I finished fourth.
Barber. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Detroit was the second best finish. Look, considering where we started, I mean, a lot better than where we started. There's things that I also need to improve on. As but it's a very high level championship, especially this year. I think it's the hardest it's been in a long time. As I think most people will agree with how many cars there are, the level of the teams. And the problem is, like, when the other team gets it right, it's not like one of them or two cars, it's 9 damn cars. Like, it's like you know what I mean? Like, when you're driving there and, like, the whole top 10 or 11 is 9 HMD cars, you're like, God, like, you know what I mean? It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But they lack in the race. I mean, some of the drivers, like, I'm not being rude, but, like, that's where me and Jagger make it up. Like, if we do qualify further back, we outrace them. We're smarter than them in the race. And we when the car is sometimes not up to standard that is, like, able of putting on pole, we make up for it in the race, and we come through, and we tend to find a faster car in the race because it's a new team. We tend to come on top of the car too late in the weekend. We're always a session behind, and it's been like that for the last few races. But I'm confident that they know how to win championships. They know how to win. It's only a matter of time before we start getting things right, and we're able to fight in the top 5 more frequently. It's just difficult, and this car, it's so sensitive. When you get it wrong and you get a little bit out of the window, it's really quite scary, I have to say. Like, it's you really lose a lot of time, so especially in oval. But it is what it is. I'm learning a lot from it, and I'm enjoying my experience. Life could be worse. I'm driving a Indy NXT car full time, so I'm happy.
There are worse things, as we've discussed.
Exactly. There's worse. So it's not all bad.
So you've come to America, and you're trying to make your dreams come true, and you are making your dreams come true. And where would you like to see yourself this time next year? I mean, I would assume going into this year, new team, we're going to struggle probably, especially early.
Yeah.
I mean, by this time next year, I mean, fighting for championship.
Yeah. I mean, by the second year, I mean, I want to be in a position to fight for a championship, and I think it should be by that point. 'Cause especially if you're going for a second year, you need to really fight for the championship. You can't not be, you know. And my target would be to win the championship in the second year.
Right.
This year, my target would be to try and win a race, and if I manage to do that, I'll be very happy.
Sure. Absolutely.
So yeah, let's see how that goes. I mean, it's that's motorsport, man. It's always a challenge, you know, and that's how it is. You know, we've got to keep fighting, keep believing, and you know, eventually it will crack. And then after that, the only thing for me is to race IndyCar, and my long-term goal is to win the 500. And then, you know, once I've kind of achieved what I wanted to achieve in my life, you know, hopefully by then I'll be married, have kids, and then I'll probably disappear. Like, you know,
I mean,
seriously, you probably will never see me again. I'll probably be like, once
I
I'm
love
done
it.
racing, I'll be like, I'm done, man.
You got
I'm
it all
gone.
figured out.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm like, I'm out of here, man. You know, I'll probably live in a village somewhere. Honestly, seriously. You know?
well, I mean, you know, speaking of your teammate, obviously people talk about his grandfather all the time. Obviously, IndyCar winner of the Speedway, and that's when Parnelli quit. When he decided to have a family, he quit running. He quit running IndyCar type race cars, open
Yeah.
wheel cars.
Yeah,
He still did a lot of other type of racing, but when he decided to have a family, that was it. He was done.
I can see that. I mean, I don't think about it when I'm younger, but like sometimes, like when I'm looking at the ovals, especially even like some of the street cars, I see the concrete walls. And I'm looking at the film, like, you know what? Like, you know, it's like it's proper. That's why I like American racing too. It's still dangerous, not like Europe. Europe's come on, it's very rare for something to happen nowadays. You have energy absorbing walls, this, that, you know, this is a straight concrete going really damn fast, you know, and that's what makes it exciting. And that's what makes it like it's a proper sport. This is what motorsport should be like, you know, on the edge. And, you know, it's a shame though, because in my opinion, IndyCar is a better product than what Formula One is. If you take away all the BS, all like the political BS, right? All the show, all the celebrity, forget all that. If you take away the commentators and you just watch the race and take away all the grandstands, IndyCar is a far greater, more entertaining product. I just think they need to figure out a way to market it. So they need to show how crazy it is. That's the problem. They don't show how nuts it is. Like, it's nuts. Like, you don't know who's going to win. Like, you've seen the races, especially this year. You know, people are crashing. Even in Indy NXT races, it's all over the place. You know what I mean? They need to show that, and the drivers need to. In my opinion, the drivers are all too a little bit clean cut. You know, like, okay, I know it's for sponsors, but what makes Formula One more relatable to a fan is that they all have their individual driver that they support, and they're very memorable. You know, the names and their personalities, they're all individual. The problem with IndyCar, I feel like, because the drivers are so scared of getting dropped by sponsors and things like that, they're all too clean cut, and they're all too saying the exactly same thing. You know, they're all, you know, like what I loved when Power and Dixon crashed is that Power went up and was like fighting Dixon. That's what you want to see. And I think they need to allow more of that. And I think that they should highlight that more when things like that are happening. That's why I like Will Power. And Will Power is such a legend. And when you see all these things, and you need to show the entertainment value. You need to imagine the drivers are almost like not actors, but they're prize commodities. They're individual personalities, and they need to show their aggression on and off track, and to make a show. It needs to be a show, you know, like that's how it needs to be.
So I would say you're right. And what I've always said is I don't care if it's motorsports, if it's NBA basketball, if it's football, whatever it is, it's all personality driven.
It is.
I've always stood by that. I will always stand by that. I think the one thing that is lost in all of the F1 hype, like with the TV show, is the fact that it's focused on the personalities. It's not focused on the technology.
No, it's not.
There's a little bit of the technology. And there for a long time, IndyCar used to try to focus the technology. And you were like, but people don't care about technology.
Not that much. No, like,
You know,
and yeah, you're right. Like F1 is much more technologically advanced, the cars, and they don't
Oh.
even focus on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like IndyCar's a
Right.
spec series, basically. You know what I mean? Like, you're right.
and I think that's the thing, right? I mean, people who are fans of the sport, well, there are certain cars that they talk about. They'll talk about a certain McLaren, a certain Ferrari, a certain Lotus or something like that. But that was even more back when the sport would change constantly, didn't have all these boxes you had to fit
Yeah.
in. But at the end of the day, they celebrate Lewis Hamilton and they celebrate Max Verstappen and whether it's George Russell or Alonso. I mean, you celebrate the names. You don't celebrate the cars and the tire manufacturers. And
Yeah.
and I
Yeah,
think that's what it has to be. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's so funny is like IndyCar is like in this weird halfway position where they're not organic enough, it's not street enough, and it's not technical enough. Like they don't have enough street level guerrilla type promotion, and they don't have enough top end, high end Wall Street promotion.
exactly.
And they're in this weird limbo that sometimes pierces through and sometimes doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Just so happened St. Petersburg, sat in a grandstand next to these two women, and these two women were talking about. I don't know. This was right before your race, and this woman was talking about something, and she noticed everybody was. Every time they'd say Jagger's name, like everybody was clapping and stuff like that. She goes, like, "Are you guys with Jagger?" And his mom said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, we met him in the drivers, the signing line." And he commented on my phone case how cool it was. It's like a Ferrari phone case, and that really stuck with her. That he noticed her phone case and that he signed for and how nice he was, and that's what people remember.
Yeah.
They really remember that interaction.
I agree with you. I mean, even like simple things, right? Okay, look, F1 tracks, they all have garages, right? So like even like when people come to watch it, they can watch from the garage. Like, for example, if you start getting like famous people to come watch the races and things like that, like Hollywood celebrities, the problem is they can't even like be in the pits, like to watch the pit stops. It's simple. They have to watch it on a TV screen in the hospitality. That's all wrong, in my opinion. You need to make these big grandstands behind each team. There needs to be like famous people being seen there. You need to separate it from NASCAR from that point of view. You need to show that it's like the pinnacle, like it's like the best of the best. We need to go to the best tracks in America. We need to make it a bit more of a party as well. That's why the Detroit race, I thought they did a good job getting Steve Aoki, and like the attendance was great. You need to show that it's like a class above everything else. Otherwise, people would rather go watch F1, frankly. And also, like, one thing I'm not a fan of, which, maybe I'm wrong, but it's hard to keep track and keep supporting your favorite teams and drivers because they all keep changing their liveries. Like, Penske, each car is a different livery. And like like in my opinion, there should be a rule. Okay, one team is red, one team is green. Basically, one team is this, one team is that. Then it's much easier to distinguish and, to grow a liking to it. Like Red Bull's always been the same color. Ferrari's always been the same color. McLaren, okay, now they're orange, but like most of the teams have their color in F1. Right. In IndyCar, they're all like, I'm watching. I don't know who half the guys are. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's changing every race, it's just all over the place. It's a bit of a mess from that point of view. Needs to be distinguishable, needs to be clean cut, simple to attract new fans. The problem I think IndyCar's going, they're relying too much on recurring fans. They're not taking enough of a risk to embrace the new youth, than to get new fans in. And that's what I feel F1 has done a much better job of, with the merchandise, with this, they're all supporting their driver, their color. Max has the orange. You know what I mean? Like, it's all those things.
I think you're right. I think it's hard to. So they're all associated with car companies for the most part in F1 to some degree.
Yeah.
Where in America they're not. So, but Roger Penske, being Roger Penske, he has the Team Penske stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what you see. And I will say this, even though like the colors are different, but they're really great at promoting that one general Team Penske look of everything's clean.
Penske has a look. I agree with you on that. Yeah, Penske has their image, like the black and the red. Like I know a Penske shirt when I see it, but like the other teams, in my opinion, could do. For example, McLaren, all their cars this year are basically the same. They're orange and blue, like the F1 car. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think they look like they're the best outfit. It's so recognizable. Every time you're going around, and it's a testimony to what I believe it should be going forward. And they should be highlighting also more the drivers that are coming from different countries, and even all these little things. I think they all add up. Even if we do like a one-off race in Dubai, you know what I mean, like something cool like that. That's what I'd be advocating for. Like, for example, I think IndyCar needs to think outside the box. Okay, we've got the American market. We should do like a one-off race, in the middle of the season every year. Every year we do one race outside of the country, right? For example, F1 is in Abu Dhabi, which is 1 hour away from Dubai. So you have the United Arab Emirates. Two of the biggest cities, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. Dubai is like the more famous one because it's, where the tourism is. Dubai is a F1 grade track. I've driven it. It's phenomenal, right? It's never been used for a big race. And I'm like saying we should be going there when F1's in Abu Dhabi. We shouldn't be trying to compete with F1. We should be doing our own thing. We should be going to Dubai. We should be doing like, cool stuff like that, showing that it's a class above, and because IndyCar does such a good job of getting the fans, access. We just need to take advantage of that more. Not going to Iowa. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about Iowa. I just don't like Iowa, man. I just don't like Iowa. I think because I had a really bad test there, but I don't want to go back to Iowa.
Oh, compared to somewhere like Dubai or even Indianapolis, it's probably a little boring.
Yeah.
As far as the atmosphere and
exactly, there's nothing around it. I was like, God,
just cornfields.
No, but that's the thing. Like, if you want to invite people, let's say you're getting Brad Pitt, all these people to come to a race. So we don't want to invite them to Iowa. I mean, when you
that's what they're doing essentially. I mean, the big music festival they're having there.
Okay, they have a music festival. Okay, they're making it, but like. It's weird. Indy, St. Pete is a glamorous race. All those Detroit, all those kind of Toronto races, they're the cool ones. Not like some of the other ones we go towards. You know what I mean? I just think that they need to do more like stuff in that direction. But I think they will. When it keeps growing like it's growing, I think eventually they're going to try and make it into more of a World Series, which I hope they do.
Right. Well, you look at someone like Pato, who does an amazing job at self-promotion.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe they don't do a race, in his country,
Yeah.
I mean, it's stunning that, I don't know what they would actually draw, but people love him.
Yeah. They would draw a crowd. They would draw, I think it would be packed. It would be packed.
So it's just always interesting to me, but the, you've had some growing pains this year, and there's some days that you had to wake up, I'm sure, and say, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
What, is it the routine that keeps you going? I know you work out a lot, and, and you've really embraced like the pit fit and that type of thing. Is that really kind of gets you through those days when, man, things are just aren't as you want them to be? And
no, it's not so much the routine. It's just like I'm always prepared to fight. I'm prepared to die. You know what I mean? Like, I love this sport so much, and it's just part of the thing. And I would never give it up for anything else. Okay, I get up in the morning, I'm starting clear the back, but I'm coming through, and no one's going to stop me. And that's the way out. Not just on the track, off the track. I believe I'm going to get to IndyCar. I'm going to win the Indy 500. I'm not going to let anyone stop me. So I'm going to get there one way or another. And I just always had that since I was a kid. And I don't wake up on the wrong side of the bed feeling down. I'm always ready to fight, always go forward, and to prove that I can be one of the best.
Nice.
That's great. I don't have anything else. Do you, Scott?
Man, I don't. That's a lie. I have like a billion questions, but I'm not gonna wear you out with them.
No, it's fine. Listen, I got time.
Well, it's just one of those things where, one thing will lead to another. So we'll talk about some other time. But
okay.
You just like I said, Aaron and I joked a little bit. I was like, man, that dude's a rock star. Look at that guy.
Every time we see, yeah.
It's not so much, looks, where it's just how you carry yourself, and it's that confidence and the way you could tell you really care. And it's just like I said earlier, it's a breath of fresh air. It's something I really respect. I respect so much that you've come to America and you've adapted to being an American, living an American lifestyle. But you're, like how this country's intended to be, but you are who you are. You're not changing who you are to be that person either. And I just want to say thanks for coming on our show. Thanks for being you. And it'll always be a pleasure.
Thank you to both of you. No, I actually really enjoyed the chat a lot. So thank you. It was actually good for me because I felt like I unloaded a lot of stuff. So it was good. Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, thank you, Nam, so much. And at some point, I've talked to Scott about this. We got to have you do one of our go-kart videos. We mentioned it to you a little bit. It said, so you live up Car, so you're probably not that far from it. It's off 96th Street. What is it off? Keystone and 465?
Keystone 465.
Yeah. Fast Times Indoor Karting. Your teammate's about to be off the board. So by the time we can get you to go there, you may actually be the one to knock him off the board. But
right. No, let's all go. When we come for that Indy race, me and Jagger, we'll all go together. We'll do it again. That'll be quite fun.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah. This is good fun. Thanks, guys. And I'll leave you to it. And you guys are in Indy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He lives in Speedway. I live on the other side of the tracks.
Okay. If you want, one day I'll take you when you guys are free. We'll get some Pakistani food. There's a restaurant we can go to.
Whew, I have to prepare for that. I have to prepare for that, man. I don't know.
No, you'll be all right. I'll give you a glass of milk. You'll be happy. All right. Thanks, boys.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.